Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stretching for Streamers. This class is for anybody who is using a screen a lot of the time or even some of the time. So, thank you all for joining me and watching this stream, and your body is going to thank you too. I'm going to start things out a little bit differently than I have in the past. Today, we're going to start out with some chatting. There isn't anybody in the chat room at this moment, but normally what I would do at this section is ask you how your week is going, if there's anything in particular that is standing out to you that's sore or that has been bothering you during the week. And then we would go through our stretches and address those things specifically. But since there isn't anyone here to talk to me about what's going on with their week, then we're just going to do some stretching for everybody who watches this video later. The first thing that we're going to start out with today is breath. One of the things that it seems like most people are struggling with in the last couple of years is anxiety and depression. I definitely have been experiencing those. It's really hard to feel happy when you are unable to leave your house. And I have 3 children, so not being able to leave my house can get a little bit crazy. So we are going to start with doing some breath work. I am going to take a deep breath in for the count of 5 and exhale for the count of 8. On my inhale, at the very top of my inhale, I'm going to hold my breath for just the count of 1, and at the end of my exhale, I'm going to do the same thing. So you're welcome to count with me. I'm going to do a few rounds of this, probably 5 to 10 breaths total. We'll see what happens. Depends on how much I need today. All right. Oh, and thank you to the person that just joined. I can start over if you'd like. Welcome. I'm Lizzie. This is Stretching for Streamers. And I was just going to ask everybody, is there anything that's been bothering you this week? Is there something that's sore that you really would like to stretch out? Are you under pressure at work? Is there anything? And if not, you don't have to jump into the chat. That's okay. And we'll just go straight into breathing. I'll give you a second. Okay, let's go straight into breathing. So we're going to inhale for the count of 5, hold our breath at the top for 1 second, exhale for the count of 8, and hold our breath for a second at the end as well. We're going to start out with 5 of those. Okay, here we go. Big inhale. Hold it at the top and exhale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath here for a second. Inhale for 5. Hold it. Exhale for 8. Go ahead and count to yourself. Let all of that breath out. When you get to the bottom, hold your breath for a second. And inhale for 5. Hold it. And exhale. Hold your breath here. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Hold it here. And inhale. Hold at the top. And exhale. Go ahead and do one more breath on your own time. When I'm doing these breathing exercises, I like to fill my lungs up as full as I possibly can in that short 5 seconds, and then exhale everything that's in my body out. Good job. All right. We're going to start with doing a little bit of facial and head massage. These are one of my favorite things, some of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling stressed or if I've been on a screen for a long time. And we're going to start with massaging our eyebrows. This area can get surprisingly sore. And I notice it a lot when I've been on a screen for a long time or if I'm in a stressful driving situation. And I always just take a moment to get my fingers into my forehead, which sounds a little bit strange, but you'll see what I mean in just a second. So I'm going to take my 2 pointer fingers, and I'm going to be using this inside surface of my finger. I'm going to bring my fingers up above my head. I don't know if you ever did this when you were a kid, but you're making that shape with your fingers. And you're going to start right here on either side of your nose. And I like to anchor my thumbs right above my cheekbones. And then I'm going to press in and just drag my fingers alongside my forehead like this. Taking deep, slow breaths while you do this is also helpful for releasing that tension in your forehead. If you feel like you need to get a little bit more specific, one of the other things I like to do is take my fingers and just press into this place. You can do this with these 2 fingers. You can do it with your thumb and forefinger, whatever really works best for you. I'm going to do it with these 2 because I'm going to press into this whole area. I'm really pushing into the bone right here. There's a lot of muscle attachments right here that can get really tight when you're feeling anxious about beating a boss, or maybe your boss at work is getting on you about finishing something, or maybe somebody is just being a jerk driver. Whatever the thing is, or your kids are screaming too much. That's usually what's going on with me. Just get your fingers in there and really rub them through that area. After that feels complete, we're going to move to our temporalis muscle, which hooks right here into our jawbone. It goes underneath our cheekbone and hooks into our jaw. And then it's big. It's right here on the side of our heads. So whenever we're feeling a lot of stress, this muscle will tighten up and you'll be able to feel it in your jaw, or also maybe a tension headache right here, which can also correlate to pain behind the eyes. So I'm going to stick my fingers on either side of my head, right above my ear, right here along the crest of my cheekbone. Everybody's cheekbones are different, so yours might not be up here. That's fine. Just get your fingers right there in front of your ears, and then you're going to press in towards your head and then move your fingers up through the side of your head. We'll do this a few times, and then we're going to make it a little bit more of an intense stretch after your 3rd time by opening your mouth while you do it. So press in, and then as you bring your fingers up, go ahead and open your mouth. It's a pretty funny face that you'll be making. One more time. All right, now we're going to move to our jaw itself. So if you look here, I'm looking for my masseter, which is where your joint is. This is your mandible right here, and it hooks in right here to the rest of your skull. And there's a big muscle here called your masseter. Its muscle fibers go this direction. If you have a problem like clenching your teeth at night, or just in general, this is a muscle that will get really, really sore and actually can cause ear pain, which is really crazy and interesting to me. And it also can affect your hearing. If it's pulling on the ear canal a bit, it can almost feel like your hearing becomes muted. So we're going to get our fingers in here. I like to use 3 muscles. This muscle, or 3 fingers, this muscle can be really tight. And then I'm going to press in and make circles here. You can make circles in whatever direction you want. Just whatever feels good to you. Really get some good circles into this muscle. And when you feel like you've gotten some good circles, you can definitely move back towards your ear too as you do this. This whole area can get it. I'm going to take my fingers right underneath my cheekbone. So here you can see where it is in line with my ear. This is where a lot of muscles attach into your mandible. So we were talking about the temporalis a second ago. Also, the top of your masseter muscles are connecting into the bone right here. So we're going to stick our fingers in and then open our mouth. Get a little bit of a stretch. I'm not opening my mouth very far. because my jaw is actually really sore right now. So this is just, as far as feels comfortable. You definitely want to feel the stretch, but it shouldn't send any shooting pain anywhere. And go ahead and experiment with where you're pressing as you open too. All right. And when that feels really nice, we're going to move to along the bottom of our mandible. So I'm looking for my jawbone here, and I'm going to keep my fingers just on the inside of the bone, okay? I'm actually going to take my thumb and just hook it underneath, and I'm going to rub on the bone there. Or you don't have to rub. You can just stick your fingers next to your bone and then very gently press in. What we're doing here is we're releasing all of these small neck muscles that hook into the bottom of this area or the top of this area. So you can just stick your fingers in, take a deep breath, move to a new spot. This part of our body gets really tight when we're looking down at a screen all the time. Whether that's your phone or your laptop or something else. And when you get to the very tip of your chin, I like to take my fingers along the top too and give some nice massages to this section of my face. All right. All right. That's it for the head today. We're going to work into our neck a little bit, and we're going to do some stretching while we pin the muscle, which can make the stretch a little bit more effective. So when we are finding the center of the muscle and pinning it, the brain will actually send a chemical into the muscle called acetylcholine, which helps the muscle relax a little bit faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to help that process by finding our SCM, which is this really big muscle. It's the one that you always see when somebody's working out. So you see if I stick my chin forward, this huge muscle that goes all the way up and actually connects to the bone behind your ear. This one helps us stabilize our neck, and it assists in turning our neck. It actually assists our breathing a little bit as well. So anytime we're looking forward at a screen or driving or whatever it is that we're doing, this muscle is doing a lot of work for us. And so we're going to give it a little bit extra love. And what we're going to do is we're going to find our collarbone. And then if you stick your neck out a little bit so that you can get that muscle to pop out, you're going to get your fingers on either side of it, just like this. Just very gently squeeze it. And then you're going to turn your head from side to side. And you'll notice that on the side that you're holding, you're not going to feel a stretch probably very much turning your head to this side. And then when you turn your head this way, you'll feel it a little bit more. Now, again, if you feel any shooting pains, go ahead and stop or back off a little bit. And after you've gotten this bottom section, we're going to move up, grab that muscle again, give it a little bit more of a stretch. And then if you can manage the top of it too, this is a little bit harder to grab, and I actually tend to have my thumb here almost halfway into my neck to grab onto it. Remember to take deep breaths. And then find one spot where you found it was a little extra sore, and we're going to tilt our head the opposite direction. And breathe. One more breath here. And then slowly bring your head back to center, and we'll work on the other side. Find the bottom of that muscle and twist. And move your way up. hard time getting that side. Sometimes we find that stretching one side of our body maybe doesn't hurt at all, or it hurts a lot, or it's very sore for whatever reason, and then the other side is completely different. And that's totally normal. A lot of us are dominant on one side of our bodies, so we tend to use that side more than the other. And it's totally normal to find imbalances like that. Now, if it's an extreme imbalance, then that's something you definitely want to try and address as soon as possible, because over the long term, your body will compensate for that extreme imbalance, and then other things can be harder later. Okay, so if you've gone all the way up with the turning, go ahead and find a spot that's pretty sore, but not intense to the point that you can't do it. And tilt away from that side. And then take 3 big breaths here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Think about letting all the tension that's in your neck go as you exhale. When you're done with your 3 breaths, go ahead and let that go. Go ahead and give your neck a few turns around its range of motion. Keep your breath going. If you find any spots that are particularly sore, go ahead and stop at that spot and take a deep breath until you start to feel it loosen. And while you're doing this, imagine gravity pulling your shoulders down towards the floor. And if you've only been going one direction so far, go ahead and switch directions. Make sure when you're tilting your head back that you're bringing your chin up to give a little bit more space to this area. All right, we're gonna move into our shoulders. Now, if you're sitting in an office chair, that's great. These are all stretches that you can do in your office chair. So find a comfortable place, make sure that your hips are even, you're not sitting on one side of your body more than the other. We're going to start by bringing our shoulders up as we inhale and squeezing them as close to our ears as possible. And then our exhale, just letting them drop as far as they will go. Inhale up. Exhale, drop. You can even give yourself a little extra down movement when you get to that. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. And make sure you have some space, because we're going to inhale our arms up. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to lace our fingers together and arch our back as much as we can while letting our head fall forward. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, lace and arch. Think about bringing your shoulders down to the floor. You can give yourself a little neck roll here. Go ahead and breathe in this position. On your next inhale, bring your arms up again. And exhale forward. Take a breath here. Inhale up. Exhale forward. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale forward. One breath here. Exhale down. Okay, now we're gonna do the opposite movement. We've been bringing our arms forward and up, which is great. And now we need to bring our arms back. So I'm gonna bring my arms to the sides of my body, just like this. If you wanna have your arms in this position, that also works. Whatever is gonna be the most comfortable with your shoulders. We really need to bring some space to our chest here after having our arms forward all day. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with our arms to our sides. And then we're gonna inhale and bring our arms back. And then exhale and bring our arms forward. Inhale, bring our arms back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. Now go ahead and drop your arms. Give your shoulders a little bit of a wiggle. And then opposite direction. Now we're gonna do both arms at the same time, arms straight out. And here we're gonna try and keep our arms a little bit further back than neutral, just a little bit, not very much. And we're gonna make circles here. So you find whichever direction works best for you and start that way. Try and keep your arms as straight to your sides as possible. Do 10 of these. I think we're on number 5 now. 8, 9, and the circles can be whatever size you want. 10, and then switch directions. I'm gonna do some big ones and try not to think about what my arms look like in the camera. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go ahead and shake that out a little bit. It's a good stretch, but it also is working those small muscles in our shoulders, which can help support us later. When we're having our arms in front of our bodies all the time, these muscles tend to get really tight, and then the muscles in the back get overstretched. So we can help support our bodies by creating a little bit more strength in the joint itself and through the back of our shoulders, so that when these are pulling tight, these muscles back here can help it from getting too collapsed. And because it is super tight in there, we're gonna do a little self-massage for our chest too. So again, find your collarbone. Here's mine. I'm gonna find right below my collarbone. There's your pecs are through your chest right here, and they actually connect into your humor or onto your humerus through the shoulder joint. And so we're just gonna give them a little bit of an extra attention. So if you find the center of your chest, we're gonna start at the center into the ribs, and I'm gonna stick the fingers of my opposite hand of the shoulder that I'm working on into my chest, just a little bit. You know, you might feel that it's a little bit sore or a little bit tight. Just find a spot and give your fingers a little push into your chest. I guess I'm probably pushing pretty hard. I don't know if you can tell. And then after you've found a good spot, you're gonna take your other arm, and you can have your arm bent if you would like to, or straight out. And you're gonna start at the front here as you press in, and then bring your elbow back behind your body, like this. And I'm gonna pin the muscle when I bring my arm forward, so pinning, and then stretching. Pin, stretch. And you can move your way through your chest as I just did. I like to start at the center and pull that muscle away from my shoulder while I pin it, and then move my arm backwards. Again, sharpshooting pain is a no-go. So if you're feeling that, definitely back off. You can still move your shoulder backwards if you need to get the stretch, but if you're having shooting pain, then try not to pin the muscle. That means you could have an injury. And then as I work across and I get into the shoulder side a little bit more, I'm moving up to stay close to my collarbone, where a lot of muscles converge and move into that shoulder. And then I'm working my way down the joint, down past the joint as I pin this and stretch it. And then when you feel like you've done a really good job on that side, you can go ahead and move to the other side. So again, find the center of your chest, and just past the center, go ahead and get your fingers in there. If you find a rib, bonus points if you get your fingers in on either side of the rib and those intercostal muscles and attachments. And then press and stretch. Press and stretch. Pin and stretch. Pin and stretch. Really working your way through the entirety of those pec muscles, the pec major and the pec minor. And if you're getting into your clavicle, your collarbone, you can get subclavicularis, which is a pretty good one. But you have to stick your fingers underneath your collarbone just a little bit. It's pretty tight in there usually for a lot of people. A lot of these muscles that attach to your first and second rib assist in your breathing. So if you're really tense and then you're taking really short, tiny breaths, then they'll actually all get super tight, and all of this can be pretty sore. And you can see I'm making a little bit of a circle with my shoulder sometimes when I'm doing this. The movement that you make with your shoulder is whatever feels most comfortable. So I'm usually adjusting my movement just a little bit based on what I'm feeling underneath my fingers. Like the muscles move when we do this. And I can tell in some areas there's sections that are a little bit tighter that need a little bit more attention or a little bit more of a stretch. And I'm doing that for them by adjusting the way I move my arm. Okay, when that feels really nice and good for you, go ahead and give your hands a shake. We're gonna move into working on our arms and our forearms and our hands. We're gonna start with our bicep muscle because, if we're like this, we're flexing that bicep even if it's not happy about it. So we're going to find that nice bicep muscle, and I'm gonna take my hand and I am going to bend it, grab on either side of the muscle, just like this, and then relax your arm or extend your arm, just like this. If you move your way from the top to the bottom of the muscle, then you'll get more of a stretch throughout the whole muscle. And it's the same concept as before. I'm pinning when the arm is flexed, and then it stretches as I extend the arm. When that bicep feels nice and relaxed, or you feel like you've given it enough attention, you can go ahead and go to the other side. Same thing, flex the arm and then pin it and stretch. Sometimes I add a little extra with my hand here, like giving it a little extra bend so that I can get more of a stretch through the top of that muscle. And if you find a sore spot and the rest of the muscle is fine, you're welcome to just hang out on that sore spot and really give it the attention that it needs. And when that feels nice, go ahead and give your hands a little bit more of a shake. We're gonna do 2 more things, one on each side before we can get to our hands. So we might as well just get it done. We're gonna pin and stretch our forearms too. There are a lot of muscles, extensors and flexors. These are our extensors on this side, the ones that don't get as much attention when we're typing or mousing. And these are our flexors on this side, and these are the ones that are doing a lot of work. So sometimes, we'll feel like some tingling or pain through our wrists and our hands, which can come from here for sure. But it also is affected by our shoulders as well. So just because you're feeling pain and tingling here doesn't necessarily mean you have carpal tunnel. You could have like anterior scalene syndrome, which is basically tension in your neck that's pinching nerves. And then there's brachial plexus, which is this section where if you're getting nerves pinched here, it can also make tingling and numbness in your hands. But it's important that we try and unkink all of the kinks in the hose to make sure that everything is functioning in the way that we want. So when we're at a computer, we're using our flexors a lot. So we're going to start by loosening those up. I find the bottom, actually this technically is the top of our forearm. I like to go right above this soft inner space. This space right here, there's some nerves very close to the skin. So if you stick your fingers in there, it's going to hurt. So I wouldn't recommend that. I just move just like a thumb's length above there. And I'm going to grab with my thumb And my fingers are going to be on the other side, and I'm going to squeeze pretty hard here. You can squeeze however much you need. Some people don't need very much pressure here at all, but I did 10 years of massage, so I need a lot. You're going to squeeze here, and as you can see, I have my hand pretty relaxed. I'm going to keep it pretty relaxed as much as possible, and then I'm going to extend my hand this direction. So my focus here is on my flexors, but I'm actually getting a stretch through my extensors as well as I do this. So I'm gonna give a few stretches through the wrist and hand this way and the forearm, and then I'm gonna slowly work my way up the arm, keeping my thumb mostly across like the whole width of my forearm here and squeezing on the other side as well. And then, if one pass wasn't enough, that's fine. Please feel free to go through, get a little bit more of a stretch through here. I know I can always use a little bit more. And then you can also get a little twist with your hand here. That'll get some extra stretching through those extensors and those flexors. Sometimes I like to twist and extend simultaneously. All right, once you've gotten through there, I'm going to go through my wrist just a little bit here. Okay. So you have 7 bones, I believe, 7 bones in your wrist. They're called carpals, and they are unique in that they're kind of just like little rocks in your wrist. They're not like all of your other bones. And they can get pretty crunched up together when your flexors and your extensors are super tight. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of attention. I'm going to stick my fingers into my wrist right here. I'm like trying to figure out how to make it. There we go. And then I'm going to wiggle my fingers. And I like to stick my finger on the other side too, so that when I'm wiggling my fingers in my wrist a little bit, I'm creating a little bit more space. So I'm actually lifting up towards my hand while I do this, and then doing it on the other side as well. Sometimes I like to take my fingers all the way across. I mean, this really just depends on if your hands can get around your wrists or not. Not everybody's can. And then when I do that, I'm stabilizing my forearm and then pulling on my wrist so that I'm creating space between these carpals. And then I'm wiggling my fingers around a little bit, which is really doing most of the work. And then once you get through there, I'm going to find this muscle on the side of my hand and give it some nice squeezes. You can do the flexing and extending with this as well. There we go. And then I'm going to move to in between my fingers. Same thing, pinning and stretching that tissue in between the fingers. Your other hand is going to be so happy when you get to it. Squeezing this big thumb muscle. And then, giving it some extra squeezes and rubs too, if you can. And then we're going to move on to stretching just our wrist. I like to do this with 2 hands. You can do this way if you feel like you're getting enough stretch just putting your hands together. There we go. Putting your hands together, then fantastic. If you feel like you need a little bit more of a stretch than that, I like to use one hand flat, or if I have like a stable surface like a wall or a desk or something like that, then you can put that on your hand, and then you're going to bring your fingers towards the extensor side of your forearm. Make sure that you're not missing your thumb when you do this. You want to get the whole hand. If you don't have your thumb in there, then this whole part of your hand is missing out on that stretch. And then while you're here, just take a couple breaths. One more. We're going to move on to the other side. I'm trying to remember if we did the bicep on this side or not. I think we did. If we didn't, go ahead and go for it. Oh yeah, we did. Okay, never mind. All right, moving on to the forearm then. I know we didn't do the forearm on this side of that. That was the plan. All right, so same thing. Grab on the inside of your forearm with your thumb and then your fingers on the other side. Feel free to dig them in if it feels really good to you to do that. Otherwise, give as much pressure as your arm needs. And then we're going to go ahead and do our extension and flexion. If you want to add your twist in right away, you totally can do that. Otherwise, go ahead and do whatever you were doing before. Work your way all the way up the arm and back down. Sometimes I really like to dig my fingers into the extensor side of my arm right here above my elbow. That muscle gets really, really sore. I think it's the middle finger muscle, actually, even though I don't flip people off, but there's something that's happening. Okay, really work your way through that arm. And then when you feel like that is pretty complete, or at least as complete as it can get in this moment, we're going to move ourselves into the wrist. And again, give yourself some circles into that wrist joint. If you like that pulling and finger wiggling, go ahead and do that. And then feel free to get that pin and stretch going on too through this area. I'm using a pretty decent amount of pressure. Like, you can push pretty hard through this area, but this is you doing it. So, if it's hurting, feel free to back off. Like I've said multiple times through the stream, if it's shooting pain, then it's not healthy for you. Like, that usually means that you're impinging a nerve or doing something on something that's injured or something like that. And we really want to make sure that everything that we're doing in these sessions is to help us feel better, not to make us feel worse. All right, so now we're gonna move into the hand. Make sure that you're pinching this side muscle, really giving that pinky some extra love. And when you've gotten through that, go ahead and make your way through each of the fingers. And then the thumb. I have cats. Sometimes they like to jump on things. Okay. And once you feel like you've given that hand enough attention, go ahead and get into stretching it. 3 breaths here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. All right, go ahead and give your shoulders a little bit of a shake. I'm gonna scoot back a little bit. We're gonna do some spinal twists. This is definitely my #1 favorite stretch, especially when I've been sitting down for a long time. We have a set of muscles on either side of our spine called the erector spinae group. There's 3 muscles on each side that traverse from the base of our skull all the way to the top of our pelvis. And they definitely need this twisting motion that we don't get very often in daily life. So find a place that's stable for you. I'm in an office chair that has handles, which is great. And if you don't have handles, that's great. If you're on the floor, that's also great. All of this is all functional, no matter where you're sitting. If you don't have handles or you're sitting on the floor, you're going to use the opposite hand of the direction that we're going. So, for example, I'm going to turn to my left and I'm going to bring my right hand to the outside of my left leg and turn my body towards that leg. I really think about being as tall as possible when I'm doing this stretch. So as I inhale, I'm going to lift up through my spine, and as I exhale, I'm going to bring this stretch more to the side. If you have handles and you want to utilize them, or if you want to utilize the back of your chair to get more of a stretch, then I'm going to bring my right hand to my handle and my other hand, my left hand, to the back of my chair so that I can really use this chair as leverage in this stretch and get more of a spinal twist. Again, Please do this only in a way that's comfortable for you. If you are experiencing shooting pain, especially along your spine, like that's pretty serious. So please back off to a place where it's comfortable. So we're going to inhale and then twist towards the direction that you want on the exhale. And then when you're in that twist, go ahead and inhale, spine straight. Exhale into the twist a little more. You can bring your head into the twist if you'd like to, or out of the twist, whatever is feeling really good for that back shoulder. Take 2 more breaths in the twist. Inhale, spine straight. Exhale into the twist. And as you end that exhale, go ahead and come back to center. Go ahead and give yourself a little extra movement through your spine. And then we're going to inhale and go to the other side. Exhale into the twist. And we'll take 4 more breaths here. Inhale, spine straight. Exhale, twist. One more breath here. And now on that exhale, go ahead and release. Give yourself a little bit of a wiggle. And one last stretch here before we open the either with my feet in a butterfly position, which I can go over another time, or just my legs straight out in front of me. But in the chair, I'm going to inhale, my arms up above, and then I'm going to exhale and fold all the way forward. Now, if folding all the way forward with your arms straight in front of you is extremely uncomfortable or just not functional for whatever reason, you can just rest your forearms on your legs here. And if you keep your back straight like this, you probably will be able to feel this in your lower back. I like to bring my belly button towards my spine as I do this stretch, which helps put more of the focus of the stretch into my lower back and my upper hips even. And then you can just play around with how far you're leaning forward. I like to try and keep my hands and my shoulders as relaxed as possible. So I'm bringing my shoulders down my back and keeping my arms pretty in line, like underneath the joint there, so that there isn't a lot of pressure. And then when you've got a good position and you're feeling a good stretch, go ahead and let your neck go and just let your head hang if it's comfortable. And if you prefer to go all the way down to the floor, or not necessarily to the floor, but like to lean all the way forward, go ahead and do that, but it's not necessary. And we'll take 5 breaths here. Let that head relax. Feet flat on the floor. Belly button to spine. One more breath here. As you exhale, kind of let everything fall forward. And then on your next inhale, bring yourself all the way back up. Slowly, slowly. Sometimes there can be a little bit of a head rush after that. And we want to make sure that we're taking care of our brains as well as our bodies. Okay, that's all we're going to do today. If you're feeling stressed out and you don't know what to do, just stop and take a breath. That is the number one thing that always helps me. Or if you have the opportunity to go outside and maybe listen to some birds. I don't know where you are, but in my part of the world right now, it's really cold out, but the birds are always chirping about something. So it can be really relaxing to go outside and just separate from your moments of tension. These stretches can be used an excessive amount throughout the day. So if you're feeling like your spine is like all gummed up or your hands really need that extra attention, you can take even 1 minute is going to be enough to help take the edge off of things. And then just do what you can for yourself. Because really, if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't really take care of anything else in this life. And your body is number one, and your brain is number one. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll probably stick around for like another minute, but you've been a pretty silent viewer. I really thank you for joining. If you have any questions, or if something was hard for you, or something worked really well, or there was something that surprised you, feel free to drop that in the chat. And then again, thank you for visiting. Your body is going to be really thankful as well. And if you want to join the stream again in the future, please follow or share with anybody that you think could really use this. I'm going to go for a walk today. It's sunny here and it rains a lot, so I definitely am going to take advantage of that. Anyway, thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.